Admiral Vex'thara couldn't believe what she was seeing on her tactical display. The massive holographic screen showed nothing but empty space where the human fleet should have been. Her 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession, a nervous habit she'd developed over her 3 centuries of military service. "Commander Zilnok," she barked at her second-in-command, "run another deep scan. Those primitive humans couldn't have just vanished." Zilnok's tentacles danced across his console with practiced efficiency. "Ma'am, I've run 17 scans in the past 10 minutes. The sector is completely empty. No thermal signatures, no gravitational anomalies, no quantum disturbances. It's as if they were never there." Vex'thara's mandibles clicked together in frustration. The Keth'mor Empire had been tracking the human expansion for the past 50 cycles. These bipedal mammals had only recently discovered faster-than-light travel, yet they'd somehow managed to colonize 12 star systems in less than a decade. Most species took centuries to accomplish what humans had done in mere years. "Perhaps they retreated to their homeworld," suggested Lieutenant Korvac from the communications station. "After all, our fleet is 3 times larger than theirs." A collective hiss of amusement rippled through the bridge crew. The thought of humans, with their crude fusion engines and basic energy weapons, posing any real threat to the Keth'mor was laughable. Their ships were little more than metal boxes with engines strapped to them. "Tactical Officer Yelnash," Vex'thara commanded, "show me the human fleet composition again." The display shifted to show detailed schematics of human vessels. 17 destroyers, 8 cruisers, and 1 massive dreadnought they called the Retribution. The ship was an ugly thing, all angles and exposed weapon systems, nothing like the elegant curves of Keth'mor architecture. "Look at this monstrosity," Vex'thara said, pointing at the human dreadnought. "No shields, no energy barriers, just thick metal plating. They're still using kinetic weapons and explosive missiles. How charmingly primitive." "Ma'am," Zilnok interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet." "Impossible. There are no ships in this sector. The transmission is coming from everywhere, ma'am. It's as if it's being broadcast from the space itself." Vex'thara's tail twitched with irritation. "Put it through." The bridge filled with static, then a gruff human voice emerged from the speakers. "This is Admiral Marcus Kane of the Terran Defense Fleet. You are trespassing in human space. You have 30 seconds to withdraw, or we will consider this an act of war." The bridge erupted in chittering laughter. Vex'thara herself couldn't suppress a amused trill. 30 seconds? These humans are even more delusional than our intelligence report suggested. "Open a channel." "Channel open, ma'am." "Admiral Kane," Vex'thara said, her voice dripping with condescension, "this is Admiral Vex'thara of the Keth'mor Third Fleet. I suggest you surrender immediately. Your pathetic fleet is outnumbered and outgunned. Perhaps we can discuss terms for your species' integration into the Empire." Silence stretched across the void for several heartbeats. Then Kane's voice returned, and there was something in his tone that made Vex'thara's scales prickle with unease. "Integration? That's a fancy word for slavery, isn't it? Well, Admiral, I've got news for you. Humanity doesn't negotiate with bullies. We've been dealing with your kind for our entire history. Dictators, conquerors, tyrants, they all make the same mistake. And what mistake is that, human? They underestimate us." The transmission cut off, leaving the bridge in uncomfortable silence. Vex'thara's confidence wavered for just a moment before she reasserted her authority. "Enough games. All ships, battle formation. We'll teach these mammals the price of defiance." The Keth'mor fleet, consisting of 47 warships ranging from fast attack corvettes to massive battle cruisers, began moving into their standard engagement pattern. Their plasma weapons powered up, casting an eerie blue glow across their hulls. "Ma'am," Yelnash called out, "I'm detecting massive energy signatures approaching from multiple vectors. Finally. The humans have decided to face us." Display their positions. The tactical screen flickered, then showed nothing. Empty space surrounded them on all sides. Yell Nash, I said display their positions. I can't, ma'am. The energy signatures are there, but I can't pinpoint their sources. It's like they're everywhere and nowhere at once. Vex'thara's 4 eyes narrowed. Impossible. No cloaking technology is that advanced. Not even ours. Ma'am, Zilnok said, his voice tight with tension, the energy readings are off the charts. Whatever the humans are doing, it's drawing power levels I've never seen before. A new voice crackled over the communication system. This one was younger, with a slight accent that Vex'thara couldn't identify. Admiral Kane, this is Captain Elena Vasquez aboard the Retribution. All systems are green. Displacement field is stable. We're ready to light them up. Copy that, Captain. Remember, we only get one shot at this. Make it count. Vex'thara's blood ran cold. Displacement field? What in the name of the void was a displacement field? All ships, raise shields and prepare for, she never finished the sentence. The universe exploded into chaos, the human dreadnought materialized directly in front of the Keth'mor flagship, close enough that Vex'thara could see the battle scars on its hull. But this wasn't the crewed vessel from their intelligence reports. This ship was different. Bigger. Deadlier, the Retribution's hull was covered in what looked like geometric patterns, but as Vex'thara watched in horror, she realized they weren't decorative. They were weapons. Thousands of them. Impossible, she whispered. That ship is twice the size it was before. Ma'am, Yelnash shouted, I'm reading massive structural changes in the human vessel. It's like the ship is unfolding. The Retribution continued to expand, sections of its hull sliding apart to reveal hidden weapon systems. Gun ports opened like blooming flowers, missile tubes extended like reaching fingers, and energy conduits pulsed with barely contained power. By the void, Zilnok breathed, it's not a ship. It's a battle station. Captain Vasquez's voice echoed across the bridge again, calm and professional. All batteries, commence firing. Target their command ships first. Let's show them what happens when you mess with Earth. The space around the Keth'mor fleet erupted in a symphony of destruction. The Retribution's weapons fired in sequence, each volley timed to perfection. Kinetic rounds the size of shuttlecraft punched through Keth'mor shields like they were made of paper. Missile swarms danced between the alien vessels, each one guided by advanced targeting systems that seemed to anticipate their every move. Evasive maneuvers. Vex'thara screamed. Return fire. The Keth'mor ship scrambled to respond, their plasma cannons lighting up the void with brilliant blue energy. But their shots passed harmlessly through empty space. The human ship was no longer where it appeared to be. They're using some kind of holographic projection, Yelnash reported, his voice cracking with panic. I can't get a lock on their true position. Then fire at everything. Vex'thara roared, the Keth'mor fleet unleashed everything they had, turning the space around them into a light show of destruction. Plasma bolts, particle beams, and gravity bombs filled the void, but none of them found their target. Meanwhile, the human attacks continued with ruthless precision. 3 Keth'mor cruisers exploded in rapid succession, their shields overwhelmed by the sheer volume of incoming fire. The destroyer Silthak took a direct hit from what appeared to be a modified asteroid, its hull cracking open like an egg. Ma'am, Zilnok said, his voice barely above a whisper, we've lost 12 ships in the past 2 minutes. Our return fire isn't even scratching their hull. Vex'thara stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The human vessel continued to unfold, revealing new weapon systems with each passing second. It was like watching a predator reveal its true nature, shedding the disguise of prey to become something far more dangerous. How, she said, her voice hollow. How is this possible? They're supposed to be primitive. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Admiral Kane's voice cut through the chaos, calm and measured. You want to know how, Admiral? It's simple. While you were busy conquering weaker species and basking in your superiority, we were learning. Every battle, every defeat, every small victory taught us something new. Another wave of human fire swept through the Keth'mor formation. The battle cruiser Tolvek, pride of the Third Fleet, buckled under the assault and began venting atmosphere. We studied your tactics, Kane continued. We analyzed your weapons. We learned your weaknesses. And then we built something specifically designed to kill you. The communication cut off again, leaving Vex'thara alone with her rapidly shrinking fleet and the growing realization that they had made a terrible mistake. The humans weren't primitive. They were patient. And now, their patience had run out. The silence that followed was deafening. Vex'thara watched in stunned horror as the human fleet materialized around them like ghosts becoming flesh. Ship after ship flickered into existence, each one larger and more menacing than their intelligence reports had suggested. Ma'am, Zilnok's voice cracked, we're surrounded. 17 human vessels have appeared in a perfect sphere formation around our remaining ships. Vex'thara's tail thrashed behind her as she processed the tactical nightmare unfolding before her eyes. The humans had somehow managed to hide an entire fleet in plain sight. Worse yet, they'd done it using technology that made the Keth'mor's advanced sensors look like primitive detection equipment. This isn't possible, she muttered, her mandibles clicking nervously. Our scans showed their ships were basic, crude even. How did they, ma'am, Lieutenant Korvac interrupted, were receiving another transmission from the human fleet. A new voice filled the bridge, this one belonging to a female human with a slight drawl. Admiral Vex'thara, this is Commander Sarah Mitchell aboard the destroyer Phantom. I hope you're enjoying our little magic show. Magic show? Vex'thara's scales bristled with indignation. This is no time for games, human. Your tricks won't save you from the full might of the Keth'mor Empire. Sarah's laughter echoed through the bridge speakers, rich and genuinely amused. Oh, Admiral, you still don't get it, do you? This isn't a trick. This is warfare. Human style. The tactical display updated, showing detailed scans of the human vessels. Vex'thara's 4 eyes widened as she processed the information. Each ship was a masterpiece of adaptive engineering, with hull sections that could reconfigure themselves in real time, weapon systems that defied conventional physics, and energy signatures that seemed to shift and change like living things. Impossible, she breathed. These readings, they're showing power outputs that exceed your entire planetary energy grid. How are you generating this much power? Trade secret, Sarah replied cheerfully. But I'll give you a hint. While you were busy strip mining dead worlds for resources, we learned something very important about energy conservation. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Your plasma weapons don't just destroy, Admiral. They feed us. As if to demonstrate the point, one of the remaining Keth'mor cruisers fired a desperate volley at the nearest human destroyer. The plasma bolt struck the human ship's hull and simply disappeared. The destroyer's hull plating glowed briefly, then returned to its normal state. Energy absorption matrices, Yelnash whispered in awe. They're converting our attacks into power for their own systems. That's right, Sarah confirmed, having somehow monitored their internal communications. Every shot you fire makes us stronger. Every plasma bolt you launch charges our weapons. It's quite poetic, really. Vex'thara's mind raced as she tried to process this revelation. The humans hadn't just built better weapons, they'd built a counter to everything the Keth'mor Empire represented. Their entire military doctrine was based on overwhelming firepower and superior energy output. But if the humans could absorb and redirect that energy, all ships, cease fire, she commanded. Do not engage the human vessels. But it was too late. The remaining Keth'mor ships, operating on ingrained battle instincts, continued their assault. Each weapon discharge was met with the same result: absorption, conversion, and redistribution. The human ships grew brighter and more menacing with each passing second. Admiral Kane's voice returned, carrying a tone of mock disappointment. "Admiral Vex'thara, I'm afraid your fleet isn't very good at following orders. Perhaps we should demonstrate why that's a problem." The human destroyer Phantom suddenly accelerated, moving at speeds that should have been impossible for a vessel of its size. It streaked between two Keth'mor frigates, its hull reconfiguring as it moved. What had been a sleek destroyer transformed into something that resembled a giant mechanical predator, all claws and teeth and gleaming weapon systems. "What in the void is that thing?" Zilnok gasped. "Evolution," Sarah Mitchell replied, her voice filled with pride. "You see, Admiral, humans have a saying, adapt or die. We took that lesson to heart when we built our fleet. Every ship is designed to change, to grow, to become whatever the situation demands." The Phantom unleashed a barrage of weapons that defied classification. Some appeared to be kinetic rounds, others looked like concentrated energy, and a few seemed to bend space itself around their targets. The two Keth'mor frigates didn't just explode, they seemed to fold in on themselves, their hulls crumpling like paper in a cosmic wind. "Fascinating," Vex'thara said, her scientific curiosity overriding her terror for a moment. "You're using gravitational manipulation as a weapon. The energy requirements alone should be impossible?" Kane interrupted. "You keep using that word, Admiral. I don't think it means what you think it means." The massive human dreadnought Retribution began to move, its hull continuing to unfold like some impossible flower of destruction. New weapon systems emerged from hidden compartments, each one more intimidating than the last. The ship had grown to 3 times its original size, and it showed no signs of stopping. "You want to know the real secret?" Captain Vasquez's voice joined the conversation. "It's not about the technology. It's about the philosophy. You build ships to conquer. We build ships to survive. And there's a big difference between the two." "Survival?" Vex'thara scoffed, trying to maintain some semblance of authority. "You're the aggressors here. You're the ones who expanded into our territory." "Your territory?" Kane's laughter was cold and sharp. "Admiral, you don't seem to understand. There is no your territory anymore. The moment you decided to threaten humanity, every star system within 1,000 light-years became our concern." The tactical display updated again, showing something that made Vex'thara's blood turn to ice. The human fleet wasn't just 17 ships. It was hundreds. Thousands. Ship after ship materialized from whatever impossible hiding place they'd occupied, each one unique in design but unified in purpose. "By the void," she whispered. "How many ships do you have?" "Enough," was Kane's simple reply. The newly revealed human fleet moved with perfect coordination, surrounding the remnants of the Keth'mor force in a sphere of controlled destruction. But they didn't fire. They simply waited, their weapons powered and ready, like predators allowing their prey one final moment of understanding. "This is your last chance, Admiral," Kane said, his voice carrying the weight of absolute certainty. "Surrender now, and we'll allow you to return to your empire with a message. Continue this charade, and we'll demonstrate why humanity earned its place among the stars." Vex'thara looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew. These were seasoned warriors, beings who had fought and conquered across a dozen star systems. But now they looked like frightened children, their confidence shattered by the revelation of human military superiority. "What message?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Simple," Kane replied. "Humanity is no longer asking for peace. We're demanding it. Any species that threatens human colonies, human trade routes, or human citizens will face the consequences. We tried diplomacy. We tried negotiation. We tried being reasonable. But you and your kind mistake kindness for weakness." The Retribution moved closer to the Keth'mor flagship, its massive hull casting a shadow across the bridge viewports. Up close, Vex'thara could see the intricate details of the human ship's construction. Every surface was covered in weapon systems, sensor arrays, and armor plating that seemed to pulse with its own inner light. "We learned from every species we encountered," Captain Vasquez continued. "We studied the Zephyrians' energy manipulation, the Cortani's bioengineering, the Nexus Collective's quantum computing. We took the best of everything and made it better. We made it human." "And what does that mean?" Vex'thara asked, though she was beginning to suspect the answer. "It means we don't give up," Sarah Mitchell said, her voice carrying the weight of absolute conviction. "It means we adapt. It means we overcome. And it means that anyone who threatens our species will learn what happens when you back a human into a corner." The communication systems crackled with static, then Kane's voice returned one final time. "Admiral Vex'thara, you have 60 seconds to order your remaining ships to power down their weapons and prepare for escort back to Keth'mor space. After that, we'll consider any armed vessel in this sector to be hostile." "And Admiral?" His voice carried a note of grim finality. "We're really good at dealing with hostile targets." Vex'thara looked at her tactical display one last time. 8 ships. That's all that remained of her once mighty fleet. 8 ships against thousands of human vessels, each one a masterpiece of adaptive warfare technology. The choice was simple. Surrender and live to warn her people, or fight and die in the cold vacuum of space. "All ships," she said, her voice heavy with defeat, "power down weapons and prepare for escort. We're going home." As the Keth'mor ships complied with the order, the human fleet began to fade from view once again, their adaptive camouflage systems rendering them invisible to conventional sensors. But their presence remained, a constant reminder that humanity was no longer the primitive species they'd once been. The age of human expansion was over. The age of human dominance had begun, and across the galaxy, species that had once viewed humans as easy prey began to recalculate their strategies. Because there's nothing more dangerous than a species that learns from its mistakes, and humanity, it seemed, had learned very well indeed.